there, folks. Are you passionate about democracy and concerned about the rise of authoritarianism? I'm Joanne, Kevin's wife, and I've seen him give everything to this work. That's why Coffee with Democrats matters, lifting up stories, building connections, and keeping democracy strong. So tune in every Tuesday at 7 p.m. for 30 minutes of conversation with elected officials, candidates, and Democratic influencers, only on Coffee with Democrats. So join me in welcoming the Executive Director and host of Coffee with Democrats, my husband, Kevin Dawson.
Hey, and good evening, and welcome to Coffee with Democrats. It's always a great day to have a conversation with fellow Democrats, and today we're joined with a very good friend of mine. We met the very first time up in Pawhuska in Osage County when I was up there for a meeting that we had going on, and I was doing a lot of travel and stuff, and I had this really wonderful person come up to me and carry on a very good conversation with me, and I think we've been friends ever since. So, Chayelynn, thank you for joining us on Coffee with Democrats today.
Thank you for having me. I've been looking forward to this, so I'm excited to be on here with you tonight.
Well, this is a great opportunity. This is the first time you've been on there, but I'm hoping that this isn't the last time. So I hope I leave a good impression at the end of this, so that you'll come back and join us on Coffee with Democrats, because we really try to get this out to a lot of different areas. So one of the things for all the people who are watching this, I'm asking you to, you see down at the bottom, there's a little scroll down there. It says, please invite your friends and followers to watch this important conversation, because this is really a very important conversation that we're going to have this evening. Chayelynn is running for the Oklahoma Senate in Senate District 10. So we're going to, really help pump up that excitement in Senate District 10 in order to try to get people excited about voting for somebody that is, other than these demagogues that want to try to reverse all the progress that we've had throughout all of the state history, and take away all of our rights and all that stuff, and get somebody who is progressive, who wants to actually move forward and do things with the people instead of trying to control the people. So thank you for joining us, and let's kind of dive in a little bit to your campaign, who you are, and those kinds of things. So, excuse me, why don't you tell me a lot about yourself?
Okay. Well, I was born at Claremore Indian Hospital, and that was in 1979. So I don't remember if I turned 46 or 47 this year. That's how old I am. So I grew up in the 80s baby. Grew up in North Tulsa, ran all over North Harvard. I went to Celia Clinton Elementary. And then later, before all that, of course, I was an Army brat before we started school. My dad was stationed in Korea for a while. We lived on base in Clarksville, Tennessee for some time, and then moved back here. And my dad came home from Korea. And then, of course, started school and attended Tulsa's public schools as well as Sand Springs public schools, and graduated in 1998 from Will Rogers High School. From there, I've sold real estate. I've worked in accounting. I've worked in aviation. I did international sales. I've owned a daycare in Collinsville. Very rewarding, but there was no money in it, unfortunately. Of course, babies are amazing. Kids are great. Right. And trying to think of everything I've done. I now own a beauty college in Skiatook and in Tulsa. It's Artisan Institute. So we teach barbering, cosmetology, aesthetics, and nails. And that's been a real passion of mine after I was out of all my office jobs and finally got to pursue the career I always wanted. And now I like making future entrepreneurs and giving people a pathway to success. And if they want to make a six-figure salary and with less schooling and less tuition costs than what it would take for a four-year university, because not everybody's cut out for a four-year university, and that's totally fine. I say do whatever makes your heart smile, whatever makes you happy. So I've owned the school. We opened actually during the peak of COVID and the pandemic. In January of 2021, I believe, is when we actually opened. So that was interesting, opening a business during that. So I'm used to the odds being stacked against me, and decided to run as a result of some of our state policies that keep trying to deregulate our industry, which would have a negative impact not only on public health and safety, but also on my graduates and other people in the industry's income and livelihoods. So I guess that is the quick cliff notes of my life and how I ended up here.
Well, and that's a very good backstory because again, you don't have to be a lawyer. You just have to know what's going on in your community and in your district and understand the people because that's who you represent. You don't represent other lawyers. You represent the entire people, and that's why I love about having somebody who's running for Senate who has a diverse background. Carrie Hicks is an example. Senator Carrie Hicks.
Love her videos.
Yeah, she's got a school teacher background. So it means a lot. And I think she is also, I can't remember the title, but she's second in line to the Senate. And so it really matters. And that's why being running as a Democrat really matters again up in Osage and name the other counties beside. I know of Osage, but I'm not sure the other counties.
All of Osage County, which is a vast county, lots of rural areas, but also my territory dips down into parts of North Tulsa, West Tulsa, as well as, I believe, just the north side of Sand Springs, too. So it's nice because I already have a lot of friends in that area that I like to reach out to. So it's kind of like going back to my roots. And my grandmother was from Pawhuska, my great-grandmother, Jemima. The whole family is in the Pawhuska Cemetery. So my roots go back to Osage County, North Tulsa, and Sand Springs.
And forgive me for going off topic just for a little bit, but it really matters is Osage County is the largest county in the state of Oklahoma. And the reason it's the largest county in the state of Oklahoma is because it is really the only federally recognized, and that was until the Supreme Court ruling, McGirt ruling, but up until then, it was the only recognized county for reservation purposes.
That's interesting. I do know that we have a large reservation here, and I get to meet and go to a lot of the dances here locally within the Wajaji tribe or the Osage tribe, if you would. I am Muskogee myself. So I've got community here, friends here, and you'll find within the tribes a lot of times that it doesn't matter what tribe you're from. Yeah. It's just a sense of community and family and coming together and supporting each other. So I kind of look at the whole state as my tribe.
You know what? That's perfect. That's a perfect way to look at a worldview rather than, you're a microcosm of the entire society, not just of one small speck. So that's very well said. Let's kind of talk a little bit. There came a time in the last few years that something has caused you to think beyond your own career and wanting to do something for public service. And I want you to kind of walk us through, why did you decide that public service was the direction that you wanted to go? And what's making you want to run for office?
Oh man, there's been a culmination of things actually. So I'm a mother and I teach young adults, and a lot of times they're still learning their way around the world, and I'm helping my niece and nephew through college. My brother is not present in their lives and they have their own struggles. So I've been very proud of them as to what they've been able to accomplish with the background they come from. So I'm fighting for them and other people like them. But about 2 years ago or 2.5, the state came to deregulate our industry again. Like I said, I have graduates who spent time and money and done extra training, and there's reasons why we are licensed to use straight razors and scalpels and nippers and shears and all those things. And so we teach a lot about safety and sanitation. And the state government was trying to undermine their education and their careers, as well as my own, and 77,000 other licensees across the state. And I actually discovered this because I was going to bat for a student who was working on their instructor's license. And during the height of COVID, we had some issues with our governing body, the Oklahoma State Board of Cosmetology and Barbering. So I like to research things. So as part of my research, I decided to make emails, phone calls, and go and sit in on some of the board meetings. And as I'm sitting in on the board meetings, I discover, oh, it's not the agency that's the problem. It's the way that the state government is regulating it, and a Canadian-based web developer that had taken a lot of their money and not produced the product that they were supposed to produce within a year's time, and they still have yet to do that completely too. And so I pursued emails with Gettner Drummond, who oversees our board. I sent certified letters, I sent voicemails, got absolutely zero response from Gettner. So as you can guess, I'm not a big fan of his. He doesn't do a whole lot of work that I've seen. And so then on top of that, we would go to the Capitol, we would protest, we would go into the offices and talk to the senators. And I discovered what an entity called ALEC is. That's an acronym. And that Senator Bergstrom was a part of it. And as I started turning over these stones, one stone led to another stone of what seemed immoral, unethical, conflict of interest, corruption. And I was like, this is really as bad as many people had said before. And I need a way to fix it for my students, my staff, my children, or my child, my niece and my nephew. And then I was like, this needs to be fixed for everybody. This should not be this way. And we should be heard. And every time that I would go to the Capitol, I know that there were some state representatives that were working to help us and some that were just working against us. And a lot of us in this industry are single parents too. So that helps them to put food on the table without needing government assistance, because you can make a great living in this industry if you're able to apply yourself properly. And the state was trying to take that away from them. Some of these large corporations could hire people without training and pay them minimum wage or a little bit more an hour, to where they were stuck working at that corporation because they taught them how to do their 5-minute supercut or 10-minute whatever haircut, and didn't teach them anymore. So I didn't want that for my students nor anyone else in our state or our nation, as a matter of fact. So that was a big contention for me. And then about the same time as that was going on, we found out we were expecting in our 40s, and we're surprised, but well, okay, here we go. We're going to do this. And come time for ultrasounds, we found out there was actually no fetus. It was what was called a blighted ovum pregnancy. And my Catholic doctor, Dr. Diaz, looked at me and said, there's a pill I could give you for this. But unfortunately, and he was almost in tears, he goes, due to the state of our state's politics, I cannot give you this pill and you may bleed to death. I don't have time to be dead. I have too many things going on and too many people depending upon me. And also in the middle of all this, I had to have my gallbladder out. They're still monitoring me to make sure that I'm breast cancer free. So that's been an ongoing ordeal. So I've seen how we need, how public health and how the access to proper health care is very important, as well as women's reproductive rights, because they almost killed me. And in addition to that, why are we making it so hard for single moms to feed their kids, or single parents in general? So it seemed like the state just kept stacking the cards against its people. And if there's one thing that I don't like and I love to fight, that's a bully. So after last year's elections and, dealing with the ups and downs of that and the stresses of it, and owning a business and seeing how many things are going to negatively impact my business, possibly at both the state and the federal level, I had enough and decided it was time to fight. And so that's how I landed here. And I chose this Senate seat because every time I would go to the incumbent's office, Mr. Bill Coleman, whom I had no personal problem with, but we would go during session. And every time we went during session, he was never in his office. And I've never been allowed to do that. I've never been allowed to have a job and not show up. So I thought, you know what? I'll show up and I'll do the work too. So that's how I landed here.
Well, that's a very good description of what a lot of people go through. And your story hits home to me. Number one, my wife is a breast cancer survivor. We had to fight the insurance company. She was fighting for her life, and we were having to fight for her at the same time, fight for the insurance. And so it resonates with me. And all I can say is I just shake my head and have all the empathy and sympathy in the world for what you've gone through. and obviously things worked out because you're still here today.
I like to fight. Like I said, if I have to fight for my life, I'll fight for that too, because I got lots of stuff to do and I don't have time to be dead.
Right, right. That's a good statement. And your story also resonates with somebody that just lives down the road from you down there in Tulsa. And that's Melissa Provenzano, who worked. She fought very hard for last session to get mammograms paid for by the state. It was going to be a nominal fee. It really wasn't a whole lot, but again, because it was a Democrat who was pushing this through, and she was fighting for her life at the same time. Our Governor Stitt, such a wonderful man, decided he didn't like that idea, and he wanted to bully her, and then the entire House came back and overrode his veto. And Senate did the same, so it's just an amazing fight that I don't understand how come women still today in 2026 are being attacked by old white men.
They're intimidated, I guess. I have no idea what it is. I don't understand why they feel the need to keep boots on our throats, but right. They underestimate us tremendously.
Yes, exactly. Hey, I'm going to give a shout out real quick. For those who are watching, please go out onto your socials. Oh man, that came out of nowhere. I apologize. But please go out onto your socials and let everybody know that we're having this very wonderful conversation. We're going to be on here for about another 10 more minutes. And I want as many people to know about it this as possible. And we've got some very good people. A good friend of mine who is watching along with us here, Kathy Smythe, and I want to give a shout out to her and tell her hi, and I appreciate her coming on and watching tonight because, like I said, she is a good friend, a very close friend of mine, and I appreciate her taking the time out of her evening to be with us this evening. And this, that goes on a lot on this show where people join from all over the state of Oklahoma and other places in the United States will join in and watch this show. But we need to get back and talk more about you. Number one, we've got to we talked about why you wanted to run. Let's talk about your actual campaign now. Talk to us about what you're doing and what your campaign is about.
Well, for my campaign, some of my main platforms, of course, are I'm tired of being dead last in this state in every single thing that matters. And as a parent, I am tired of being dead last in education. We got rid of Ryan Walters, thank God. But we still have a lot more work to do as far as education is concerned. We do not fund our schools effectively. I see giant football stadiums, but I see kids who don't have the proper education and textbooks, and we don't have enough teachers to teach these children because we're not competitive with other states. And we've gotten away from some of our grassroots teaching policies. And I've spoken with several other teachers who say we need to go back. We need to go back to how we used to teach, and teaching kids not just how to pass a test, but teaching them how to use critical thinking, deductive reasoning, and problem-solving skills instead of trying to make them sit in a chair and be robots all day. Let's nurture the learners. So education is huge for me. I did not know I had ADHD until a couple of years ago. And I remember being in special reading classes growing up. I could read you supercalifragilistic, but I couldn't retain it because I didn't know that I had ADD. So putting fail-safes in place to help catch some of these students who are slipping through the cracks and aren't getting the help that they need so that they can be productive, and not making it so much like you just need to pass this test. We've got to get you to pass this test for our district. I'm like, let's teach them how to learn and how to be learners. And they all learn differently. I get a lot of adult students who have struggled throughout school, but because we have such small class sizes, we can take them aside and we can change things and kind of focus it more on that student's style of learning. I know that Mississippi, there was a news program on, and I've been seeing Carrie Hicks talk about it, their reading program and phonics. I love that. That is how I learned to read as a child. I can sound anything out. So education is huge for me, as well as obviously women's health and reproductive rights and rural hospitals and healthcare in general, and making it accessible. I've spoken with my Chief Hill, about the possibility of tribal hospitals being able to see non-native members, and maybe some of these rural hospitals that are struggling, the tribes may be able to go in and, take the hospitals over if they're for sale, or work with the hospitals so that the tribes can still receive revenue. We can maybe staff them, support the hospitals in one way or another, and then we can see non-native members, so we have better rural health care too, by partnering with the tribes versus what our current state leader is doing and just constantly trying to fight with them. That is absolutely unproductive, I think. So education, healthcare, a living wage, because I think it was around $7 in 1998 when I graduated, $7.15. I'd have to double check that. But it hasn't changed much, and it is 2026, and that is the most bizarre and absurd thing, for our minimum wage to not have increased by much in almost 30 years. I think that is absolutely ignorant for that to happen, and we expect people to not require social benefits like food stamps and welfare. Well, we're not giving them a living wage. So of course they're working 40 hours a week and they still can't make ends meet. So a living wage is important. And we've had a lot of sex offenders in the news lately, not just at the national level, but within our state too. And I'm tired of our state protecting them, like the young person in Stillwater, that Jesse Mack Butler. There was a little boy in 5th grade assaulted, I believe, in Salisaw on his playground by other students. And I personally know of people in my town, a young child who was assaulted by some older boys, and the DA, this years later, is still yet to prosecute it. And I have a problem with that, because I was a child victim and I've been harassed as an adult, as a woman. You don't feel safe. I don't leave my child with just anyone. So for me, making sure our children are safe, we're safe in general. And if you're a sexual predator, I want to make laws to where you don't get out of jail. The nicest thing that I can do for you is leave you in there for life. So I want to make some changes to our state laws to make it more conducive to the health and well-being of the people in the state, not so much the corporations and politicians and the 1%ers. I want our state to work for the people.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's a very good thing. And I listened to your story, and I'll tell you, one of the questions that I always ask, and you've already answered that, is why should people vote for you? And I can't think of a more compelling list of reasons and explanation for why people should vote for you. I think that's, you did a very thorough job in explaining that. And I want to tell you, thank you, because you've done the research, you've done the homework, and you've got a plan. And that is, that's everything when it comes to running for office. So you don't have a primary opponent, correct?
No primary opponent that I'm aware of.
Not yet, anyway. I think we got a few more days before the end of the actual filing period is up. But right now, you're the only person that's running. So you actually, if you make it past the filing date without having a primary opponent, you'll be on the election for November 3rd.
Yes, November 3rd, 2026, I believe is the date.
Right. So it's coming up, and it's going to come up pretty fast. Before we let you go, we need to make it easy for people to be able to find out who you are, be able to contribute to your campaign, and be able to help in other ways. The previous state chair, Alicia Andrews, she taught me something a long time ago. We're always looking for talent. We're looking for treasure, and the other T, it's missing my mind right now. Time, talent, and treasure is the three things that we're always looking for. So we're looking for people to give their time to help a candidate, their treasure, as well as their talent in being able to door knock, and other skills too, like helping with social media and spreading the word. And we've got a campaign slogan down here in Cleveland County right now, and that is, let somebody else know that you know to vote for a Democrat. And it may be that you're saying this to a Republican, to somebody who may have been previously MAGA, but is now becoming disenfranchised because of what's going on in their life. They no longer support that cult. So I am going to bring up your website onto the screen so people can see that. If there's anything you want to talk about while I'm doing that, by all means, jump right in.
Yes, actually, you were talking about the MAGA thing, and unfortunately, both of my parents are MAGA. My dad is ex-military, and I try to reason with him. I send him documents. I send him everything. He doesn't want to hear it. So it's been tough. We're in different states. So I know that right now we have a lot of families that are divided. And for me as a child victim, like the Epstein files were a major thing for me. And so it was kind of really bittersweet when my college-age nephew texted me one night and then called me upset because he had started reading the Epstein files after removing the redactions, and he had voted for Trump, and he told me, "I regret my vote now. I am so sorry." And I'm like, I don't know how we can make people see the truth that don't want to see the truth, but he wanted to see the truth, and he did the research for himself,
Right.
and he found out. And then I've had a graduate who told me here recently that he also is no longer MAGA. So it makes my heart smile to know that there are some that are doing their research and they're looking for truth, and they're not just making the MAGA thing their whole identity. You can still say, you know what? I made a mistake. I'm not for shooting moms in the face. I'm not for yanking women and children out of cars and bus lines. I'm not for yanking handicapped people out of their car. I'm not for terrorizing cities and harming people. And I'm also not for sexual assault and predators. So I think that a lot more people are coming to the realization, and I want them to know that it's okay if you made a mistake and you realize it now. Like, we're not going to hold it against you, but we need you on our team so we can help fix it now. And hopefully we can all move forward together and learn from these times, as unfortunate as they may be. And the biggest thing, I think, is to look out for your neighbors, see if there are any needs that they have. I know a lot of people are scared to leave their homes right now. And in Oklahoma being a red state, we have the Highway Patrol and local PD that are participating in this too. Tribal members, a lot of them are concerned, and some have been taken or abducted as well, and then shuffled to other states and such. So we're living in scary times. So I think it's important right now that we come together. They're trying to drive us all apart. And I'm seeing more and more Republicans and things at meetings too, and talking with them, who are very disenchanted and disenfranchised. So I see where there's hope for us, and I see where we'll come out ahead in the midterms, because all the other side seems to be doing is showing their butt and chopping fruit. I don't know what that's about. But there's hope and there's a chance, and I really do see a positive chance for us in a path to redirecting this and making our state and our country by the people, for the people, not the corporations and the 1%. And that's what this election and all the elections are about for me, because that's what our government is supposed to do, is take care of the people like you and I, not the wealthy and uber elite, and hide all of their misadventures for them.
So before we move on, and we're coming close to the end of our conversation this evening, but your website for people to go and participate is more, spelled MOORE, number 4, oksenate.com. And it's right on the screen right there in front of us, so we can actually see that. And I'll scroll it down here a little bit so people can continue to see this. It gives you a brief explanation of who Chayelynn is, and talk about the issues that she talks about just now: the education, healthcare, living wages, and protecting Oklahoma families. And it also has a map of her district. And I want to tell you that when you made your web page and the people that you had working with you on that, kudos for having that map on there. That means so much because people in this state, because of gerrymandering, because of shifting, the sands seem to be shifting underneath of us. People don't know what their district is anymore. So kudos to you for putting that up there. Also, the OK voter portal for people to find out what their precinct is. That's such an easy thing. So thank you for doing that. Now I want to do one more thing. I want to go out here and I want to show people, excuse me, let me shut that down. I'm going to add to the stage with us another item, and that is your Act Blue account. So we're going to go and we're going to pull up your, this is how people can give with their, treasure. And again, people, this starts very good. $10 seems to be the appropriate amount that you can get started with. And this, she's made it very easy for you to just be able to do this with your credit card. She needs this because she has to travel. Osage County is the largest district, and I think she's got probably one of the biggest districts of anybody who's running for the Senate right now. And she needs gas money. She needs tires. She needs oil changes. She just needs those basics in order to make this travel work. So I'm asking everybody, please go to this. And the biggest thing you can do is don't go for the $100. And don't get me wrong, if you got the $100 to spend, go ahead and spend it. But if you don't have the $100 and you want to spread this out over between now and November, give her that recurring amount. Give her that $20 or $30 amount. And that way it continues to come out every month and it's recurring, and she can depend on that, and she can start budgeting where she can go and who she can meet and how she can help the most in her district.
That is the hardest thing for me to do, is to ask people for money, because I've worked 3 jobs to survive, and it's hard to go out and campaign and ask for money. I'd rather door knock, but it's definitely a big need. So I appreciate that.
Well, folks, next week on our show, we're going to have a special guest on Coffee with Democrats from Baltimore, Maryland. I'm on Chayelynn Moore's campaign right now. I'm really talking about her, and I can't remember the other person who's going to come, but he's from Baltimore, Maryland. He's really pushing real hard in Baltimore to flip a district in Baltimore, and we're going to do everything we can on Coffee with Democrats to help that campaign. And then as we move on into the later part of February and into March, we do have Gina Nelson who's going to be coming on in a few weeks. So we're looking forward to that. Folks, we've got a good slate coming forward here with on Coffee with Democrats, and we're trying to pull as many people in that we can to try to get as many of these candidates in front of people that can actually see who they are, what they stand for, and why they deserve your vote. Folks, thank you for coming on Coffee with Democrats today and watching this important conversation. And until the next time, please keep your eyes on the road, and let's keep this journey going.
Coffee with Democrats is broadcast from the multimedia studio inside the Cleveland County Democrats office with their gracious permission to use the space. Our thanks to the Cleveland County Democrats Central Committee and Chair Jamie Shelton for accommodating our Tuesday night show.